Hello everyone, back to videos today. So I am sure that you definitely missed having the video yesterday and seeing my smiling face coming at you from your computer screen. If the answer is no, that's okay. But we are back to videos today. Today we are talking about underage drinking. So in your notebooks you are going to title your day. Don't worry about the day on here. It might be wrong. So title your page Underage Drinking. That's our topic today. And you are going to date it on the board. You can look up and see the date of what you should be putting in your notebook. Today's warm-up is maybe. All right. Drinking alcohol is illegal for teens and can lead to addiction, injury, or death. When you think about people drinking alcohol, what comes to your head? Journal about your thoughts on alcohol and what do you think the word binge drinking means? So, alcohol has become very commonplace in our society. It has almost become glorified, like it helps you have fun, or you're not really having a party unless there's alcohol involved. And alcohol truly is just about everywhere that you look. It's on TV, it's at sporting events, it's at your family cookouts or barbecues. It seems to be very prevalent in a lot of lives of a lot of Americans. So when you think about drinking, what kind of thoughts come to your head? Do you think, oh, not so bad, or oh, super terrible? What thoughts pop into your head when you think about just drinking in general? And then when you hear the word binge drinker or binge drinking, what do you think? What do you think the definition of that is? Do you think it's a good thing or a bad thing? So that's your warm-up today. So I want you to just kind of think through your current position or thoughts about alcohol and go ahead and journal about that as your warm-up today. So pause and do that now. And then when you come back, we'll be ready for notes. So you should be finished with your warm-up before you come on for notes here. So our first note is the definition of binge drinking. Let's focus the thing. There we go. So binge drinking is a pattern of drinking where someone consumes a large quantity of alcohol in a relatively, we're all out of focus. There we go. In a relatively short amount of time. So we're talking 4 to 5 drinks in about an hour to 2 hour time frame. What binge drinking is the person who is drinking, their intent is to get drunk. And they might not drink every single day. They might just drink on the weekends. But every time, so a binge drinker would be considered somebody who every time they drink, their intent is to get drunk. So they are trying to drink a large quantity of alcohol in a short amount of time in order to feel the effects of being drunk or intoxication. So that's what binge drinking is. It's a very, very dangerous, it's probably the most dangerous type of drinking. It often leads to addiction and being able to feel like you can't function without the alcohol. It leads, a lot of times, it can lead to people being violent because they're intoxicated or argumentative or they just have a loss of total control in general. So there's a big difference between binge drinking and what we might call social drinking, which is our next definition. Binge drinking is not drinking for the enjoyment of being with friends and socializing and just maybe having a beer or two, like at dinner or at the barbecue or something like that. Its sole intent is to get the person who is drinking drunk or intoxicated. So there's a big difference between that and our next definition, which is social drinking. Social drinking involves small to moderate drinking over an extended period of time. So more than about 1 drink every hour. So what a social drinking would be considered, at a cookout or at dinner, or maybe a glass of wine with friends, or something like that. So you're talking over a prolonged period of time, maybe about a drink an hour. So if you're somewhere for 2 or 3 hours, if a parent had 2 or 3 beers or 2 or 3 glasses of wine over a couple hour period of time, that would be considered social drinking. That is obviously for people over 21. Drinking is legal, and it is something that probably many of your parents, although not all, because I have several family members that don't drink at all, something that you probably see them partake in. There is nothing wrong with social drinking. It is not something that you would need to be concerned about or worried about. What is concerning or is more worrisome is the binge drinking, or the drinking with the intention to feel intoxicated or feel the effects of the alcohol, and that's the reason that someone's drinking. And a lot of times what happens is, because as a society we make drinking out to be like this, oh, it's so much fun, and oh, it's going to take all your problems away, and oh, it's going to make you feel relaxed, and it's going to make you feel better about yourself, or make you more confident, or make you less afraid to talk to this person or do this thing. People think, oh, I should be drinking. This is something I should be doing. It's fun. It's going to make me feel better. It's going to do this or do that for me. And that's 1000% not the case. I know so many people who don't drink at all, and their lives are perfectly fulfilled and perfectly happy with zero alcohol involved at all. So there's an over glorification of alcohol just in our society in general, and it's not something that you need. It's not something that you need. It's definitely not something you should buy into. It is what it is. It's a drink, and that's it. And a lot of people don't even like the taste of it. So it's not something that is needed in your life. It's not something that's important. It's not something that's going to enhance your life in any way, shape, or form. So it's important to know that while there's nothing wrong with social drinking, it's also not needed either. It's not something that's going to make your life better, or something like, oh, I just can't wait to have a drink. Like, there's nothing about that is going to make anything better about life in general. The definition of intoxication is consuming so much alcohol that you begin to lose control of your thoughts and actions. So that would be considered being drunk. Your body reacts to alcohol in some very alarming ways. It definitely affects your entire body when you've consumed too much, and that's what happens when you binge drink. So the binge drinking leads to intoxication, and there are so many negative effects of being intoxicated. And it affects everybody a little bit differently. But you definitely have a loss of control of your body, which is why drinking and driving is such a terrible, terrible, terrible thing. Your reflexes are much slower, so you're not able to stop your car as quickly. Your vision is blurred, so you can't see the lanes and which lines you're going in. You're unable to read the street signs and where to turn and where to go. You have lost all control of your motor functions. And even people, when they're intoxicated, have a hard time walking. They slur their speech when they're talking. Their thought process is different. So somebody who could be this amazingly happy, awesome person can turn violent, or can turn just abusive, or just not very nice. People will say and do things that they would not normally ever do because it affects your brain so much. Alcohol affects all kinds of things in your body, and alcohol is actually a depressant, so it slows your entire body down, and it can actually cause death. There's alcohol poisoning, and there's definitely where your whole body is poisoned by the alcohol. So it's not something that is good for you. It is a drug. It is a toxic thing that you're putting into your body. In large quantities, there is no benefit, zero benefit of alcohol. So it's definitely, being intoxicated is not something that's going to be good for your health in any way, shape, or form. The legal limit for blood alcohol content is 0.08. So when you see people that get pulled over for drunk driving, or if they get arrested for being drunk in public, they will test their blood alcohol level. They might do it with a breathalyzer. They might do it through a blood test. But if their blood alcohol content is higher than 0.08, which is approximately 1 drink per hour, which would be considered the social drinking. So like if 1 beer per hour would put your blood alcohol right under 0.08, which is the legal limit. And that's about what your body can handle. So your liver will filter out all the toxins, because even with just social drinking, the alcohol you're putting in your body is toxic. Like, I don't know if I can explain that well enough for you to understand and to get past the idea like, oh, alcohol's okay, alcohol's fun. Like, it's toxic. So it's not, your body does not want it inside. So your liver filters out all those toxins, and you're able to flush those out, obviously, through going to the restroom, through your urine. Those toxins will come out of your body. And your liver is able to process about 1 drink an hour. When you're getting up into 2, 3, 4, 5 drinks an hour, your liver cannot process all of that. Sometimes your body tries super hard to get it out, and that's why people will throw up from drinking, because your body is like, this is not just maybe going to kill me. This is going to kill me. I must get it out of my system. I must get this out to protect my body, to protect myself. So your body has a really good way of knowing, like, hey, this stuff is poison and I need it out. So that's when people will start to throw up, because there is too much of the alcohol inside their body, too much of the toxins and the poisons in there. So you'll throw up. Sometimes people have consumed too much too fast, and their body doesn't know yet. It hasn't, all the receptors haven't clicked up to their brain like, oh, there's way too much in me, and so they don't yet throw up, and then they pass out. And that can be very, very dangerous if somebody's passed out from drinking, because that means all of their body systems are slowing down. The poisons are still inside, the toxins are still in there, and it's wreaking havoc inside your body. It's doing a ton of damage. And if you haven't started your extension activity and you'd like to research what alcohol does to your body, it's amazing how bad it affects your body. So that would be a really cool extension activity if you're interested in this topic. But so if somebody passes out and their body systems are slowing down, you have to double check on that person. You have to make sure they are still breathing, because they will stop breathing. Because that poison is still in there, and it's slowing all your body systems down. It's depressing your heart movements, your lung movements, and that's when it can cause death. If someone has passed out from drinking, it is usually a good idea to get them to the hospital. A lot of times they will need to have their stomach pumped to get the alcohol out of their body so it doesn't kill them. So it's a very dangerous situation when somebody's had so much to drink that they're passing out. And people that have had too much to drink, another side effect is just completely blacking out, like not remembering the evening at all, not remembering what they did, not remembering what they said. And that's a terrible situation to be in, to not know what you've done or what you've said or where you've been throughout an evening. So it is not a healthy thing for you. BAC, when you see blood alcohol content, so you might hear it talked about on the news, like their BAC was this, and that stands for blood alcohol content. And that's the amount of alcohol that's in your bloodstream at that time. And like I said, the legal limit is about 0.08, which is about 1 drink an hour. Okay. So there are a lot of things that affect your blood alcohol content, a lot of things that take place throughout the day, or just your genetics and your makeup that will affect the blood alcohol content inside your body. So some of those things is obviously how much you drink. The more you drink, the more alcohol is going to be in your bloodstream. So if you're drinking 2, 3, 4 drinks in an hour, your blood alcohol content is going to go up and up and up and up and up. How fast you drink. So the faster you drink it, the more alcohol is going to be in there. And the faster you drink it, not only the more alcohol that's going to be in your bloodstream, but the less of a chance you're giving your body to react. So the alcohol takes a little while to come into your stomach, to be digested and then absorbed through your intestines and through your stomach walls before your body really realizes how much alcohol it has. Shots are small, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. If you are drinking small drinks like this that don't seem like a lot of alcohol, and you have 3, 4, 5 in an hour, that's 5. One shot is equivalent to 1 glass of wine, which is 4 ounces, and it's also equivalent to 1 beer, which is 12 ounces. So if you're looking at a cup, okay, a shot of alcohol would be like about this tiny, just this down here, very low by this bottom lip right here. And then 4 ounces would be up here to the top of the middle groove right here. So that would be about a cup of wine. So 1 shot is down here, 1 cup of wine is up here to this middle one, and then the beer would be basically the whole cup. And those all contain the exact same amount of alcohol. Okay, so if you're thinking about a mixed drink like a margarita or something else that you maybe have seen your parents drink, then it has a hard alcohol, or 1 shot of the hard alcohol, which would be down here, mixed in with something else like Coke or cranberry juice or orange juice, or with the margarita, it's like a slushy mix. So those would be considered 1 drink because it has the 1 shot of alcohol inside there. So 1 shot, 1 glass of wine, or 1 beer is all the exact same amount of alcohol. And so it's easier to take little tiny shots. It's less liquid, and you can do those much more quickly, but your body doesn't have time to react. And that's when people really get into trouble. They don't think they've drank too much. They don't think that they are drunk, and then it hits them and they are past drunk and they are needing to go to the hospital, or they're needing to have their stomach pumped. So it's really important that you're not drinking, not you, because you're not going to be drinking until you're at least 21, and even then you're going to be drinking very responsibly. But if you're seeing somebody else, it's important that they are taking their time and just extending the drink throughout the hour, and not drinking a whole bunch really quickly, because that's going to really spike their blood alcohol content. Okay, so other factors are how much a person weighs. So obviously somebody who is smaller has less blood throughout their body because they're not quite as big. The more that you weigh, the more alcohol you can consume, and the less drunk you will be. So what might take somebody my size 1 beer per hour, somebody a little bit bigger than me might be able to have 1.5. So the bigger you are, the more spread out, obviously, it's going to be. So not as concentrated inside a smaller body as it would be inside a larger body. How much a person has eaten. So when you drink and when you eat, your food and the drink goes to your stomach, obviously. So if there's food inside your stomach, then the alcohol gets absorbed inside that food, and not as much of it gets into your bloodstream. So if you're having a drink with dinner, less of that alcohol is going to be absorbed into your bloodstream because it's being absorbed with your food and then digested. When you're drinking on an empty stomach, or you haven't had anything to eat, then more of the alcohol is going to get absorbed straight into your bloodstream. So when there's food involved, it takes a little bit longer for the blood alcohol content to rise. All right. So taking other drugs, illegal, prescription, or over the counter. If you are on a prescription medicine, you cannot drink alcohol. If you're taking things like Tylenol, like over-the-counter drugs, it's not recommended to be drinking alcohol. It can enhance the effects of the alcohol or of the medicine, neither of which are good, and they might combat each other. So one might be a stimulant, like an over-the-counter medicine might be a stimulant, like a migraine medicine is a stimulant, which means it has caffeine and other things to help take your headache away, the migraine away, where alcohol is a depressant. So the stimulant's trying to speed everything up, and the alcohol is a depressant, it's trying to slow everything down. And so then it's like fighting inside your body, and it can be bad, just in general, bad results. So you never want to mix any type of drug, over-the-counter Tylenols, headache medicines, prescription medicines, or obviously illegal medicines or drugs with alcohol. That can have deadly consequences, and it can cause a lot of havoc inside your body because of the way those two drugs interact with each other. And if the other thing you're taking has alcohol in it, like cough syrups have alcohol in them already, and then you drink more alcohol, your blood alcohol content is going to go up a lot faster, a lot more quickly. Okay, so, and then being male or female also plays a role, and I am unsure why, but males seem to metabolize alcohol faster than females, which means that their blood alcohol content stays a little bit lower, so they can consume a little bit more alcohol than what a female would be able to consume, and I don't know the reason behind that, I just know it's a fact. Okay, so we have kind of gone through all of it, so not a ton of notes today, so I'm going to go back over this so that you can see all of them, and you can get that all written down in your notes, as well as you should have written down all of these definitions: binge drinking, social drinking, intoxicated, what the legal limit is, blood alcohol content, and the amount of alcohol that is in your bloodstream. Okay, so I also want you to put in your notes, let's see if I can stand this up. Oh, kind of, yay. Okay, I'm just doing well here. Okay, I also want you to put down in your notes what equals one drink. So a shot is 1.5 ounces, so that's a really small amount. We talked about it as visual down here. A glass of wine is 4 ounces, so that's here, and then a beer is 12 ounces. So adding to your notes, you'll just write one drink. What equals one drink? One drink equals, and I'll show you this in a minute, 1.5 ounces of hard alcohol. Hard alcohols are things like vodka, rum, I can't even think of any more, whiskey, all of those. Anything that comes in like a bottle that you have to, pour out, that's, you know what a beer is, that's not beer, it would be considered a hard alcohol. And then like wine coolers and like any type of like hard lemonades or things like that would be considered like a wine. So those are 4 ounces. That equals one drink. And then beer would be 12 ounces, and that would be a bottle or a can. And those things all equal one. So one drink equals 1.5. Can't see my point very well there. Make it bigger. 1.5 ounces of hard alcohol, 4 ounces of wine, or 12 ounces of beer are all considered one drink. So the last thing before I get off of here, because I know I'm having another long video, I'm really sorry about that, is that it's super important for you to understand that if you are ever at a party, even underage, and people are drinking, and somebody is vomiting or passing out, or you really think that they are in trouble, because that happens sometimes, you need to call 911. You need to take them to the hospital, and you need to not be afraid about what kind of trouble you might get into. Indiana has a law, and I can't remember what the name of it is off the top of my head, but they do have a law where if you're underage and you're drinking at a party and you call for help, you call the police or you call 911 because you think someone's life is in danger, then you will not get in trouble for drinking underage. You will not be in trouble for being at the party. They want you to be thinking about saving someone's life, not thinking, I'm going to get in a lot of trouble for this. So you need to understand that how would you feel? Like, I just can't even put into words how you would feel if you left a friend somewhere and like, oh, they're just sleeping it off, they'll be fine, and then they didn't wake up and they didn't live. Like, I just, like, the thought of that is beyond my head. And that happened not too long ago here. A girl from Zionsville, a senior, she was accepted to IU in Bloomington, and her first week she went down to Bloomington campus, and they were there, and of course there's a lot of parties your first week there at campus, and she was drinking, and her friends thought, okay, she's fine, she's just sleeping it off, and they moved her to a couch, they picked her up and put her on a couch, and they left, and she died. And that's actually the reason that this law is in place, and I believe that happened maybe 6 or 7 years ago. But those kids, I know, are never going to be the same, and I know that they can't live with themselves, and so that's a really difficult thing for them to process. So please, 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 if you take nothing else from this lesson, understand that you need to call if somebody has drank too much. Don't worry about getting in trouble. Even, and I know this is going to be a stretch, but even if it's a parent, don't be afraid to call for help. Okay, and don't be afraid, and I know this is another hard one, and my dad's dad, my grandfather, who passed away when I was young, was an alcoholic, and my dad used to have to get in the car with him all the time when he was drinking, and he would be going like 100 miles an hour down the wrong side of the road, like putting obviously all of my dad and his siblings' lives in danger, which is why there's not much drinking in my family at all, because all of the siblings are like, I never want to be like my dad. He, drank too much, and that's what he died of, honestly, was alcoholism. He got cirrhosis of the liver, because what happens is your liver shrinks to this tiny, like, raisin, because you have poisoned it and put so much toxins in there. And that's probably on your test. You should know cirrhosis of the liver, because it's what your liver stops functioning, and then all of the disgusting, like, gross toxins build up inside your body, and that's your eyes turn yellow, or the beds of your fingernails turn yellow, and you basically have just like poisoned yourself from the inside, because your liver can't get rid of those poisons anymore. So that's what happens when you're an alcoholic and you drink too much. Your liver can't do it, and so it shrivels up from this nice, healthy, pink, gorgeous organ to this like tiny, shriveled, disgusting organ that can do nothing, and then it poisons you from the inside, because all of those toxins just build up. And that's when I was 6. That's what my grandfather died of. So even if your parents have been drinking, don't be afraid to not get in the car, to have a plan in place, to keep yourself safe and to keep them safe. And I know that's a really difficult topic and something that might not be approachable in every household. But it's not okay to be getting into a car with an adult or anybody, a teenager, an older brother or sister who's been drinking excessively. Obviously, like I said, social drinking, 1 drink an hour, your body's processing that, they're fine to drive. But 4, 5, 6, 7 drinks in a short amount of time, they're not okay to drive, and it's not okay to put you in the car when they're like that. So establish some kind of plan. Don't be afraid to reach out for help if needed. And I know that's a difficult subject to broach, but it's something that could save your life and maybe their lives. So just really be cautious with drinking. And this is a topic, gosh, and my video is almost a half hour. Oh, I'm so sorry. But this is a topic we could talk for days about, I feel like. So if you have questions or you have concerns or there's something you want to talk to me about, feel free, because this is something that's difficult, but it is something that a lot of you see and a lot of you face every day. So if there's something that you want to know more about or you want to talk to me about, just raise your hand. There's questions. Yay, 30-minute video and questions. I know you love Miss Johnson right now. So after you're done, go to the stream section and read the questions and get those answered. All right, have a good day.